yes, oh yes. Legends, much love to everybody. What is going on with Bitcoin? We are currently at a very, very small support area where the price does have a chance of getting a bounce. Let's analyze the situation all together. Much love to everyone. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing great. It's time for some Bitcoin technical analysis and potentially a live trading setup. The content is not financial advice, okay? I'm not a financial advisor. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate. It's just pure education, my point of view, how I'm navigating the markets, my trading setups that I'm looking for, and my analysis to see if it helps yours. Does it combine with yours, or do you have a completely different opinion on the trade setups? Much love to everyone. Let's go through the comment section and say hello. First of all, not crazy where we are. It does look like we could get a bounce. We've slowed down here for the last few hours. It just does look like a bounce here is very, very possible. We're getting that slowdown into a 2-hour order block. Nothing too major. Okay, we got a bit of a block right there, as you can see on the 2-hourly. And it's also the, you could arguably discuss it was, at least on Bybit, the point of control from June and part of July, when we do get the fixed volume profile from June and part of July. We had a major high volume node right there. Then, of course, with the new price action, the point of control from the range is actually slightly higher, as you can see at 63.9K. But back in the day, there was a good point of control from June and part of July, where we did get a bounce. We also held here very, very nicely the last week of July, first week of August, getting this little bit of a rally throughout the first week of August. And, you know, we are coming down into that area at this moment, right? If we do get that point of control right there, it is coming into this zone. So there is a chance of the price, you know, getting a bit of a bounce when we do get, I'm not in a long position locally here, but I can accept that, you know, if you want to try and get in, of course, right, manage risk accordingly. The bounce, you know, we're just in a bearish structure, of course, right? We have a bearish structure throughout the last, 4 or 5 days. So, you know, it's just going down and down and down. You know, are there any elite wave scenarios that does give us that bounce for the next coming hours and days into the weekend? I mean, there is, but there's also one that is quite bearish that actually brings us down to much lower levels. So, you know, when we talk about a high probability bounce, there's not really a high probability bounce. There is a bounce potential, but there's a couple of bearish options, of course, which naturally just means that we do go down, right? Either from here or a little bounce and then lower. Of course, there are some bullish options that can take us to higher prices, okay? Like get a pretty significant local bullish market structure change. And if that has to happen, it should really happen in this area where we are at the moment. So it is a-okay to take a trade from here if you have, you know, I just wouldn't risk too much personally. I wouldn't risk personally too much for this potential bounce. I mean, it could bounce and we go to, 65.4K highs. You know, there is that chance. It's just the probabilities are not too great. So I'm happy in a swing long. I'm happy in a short that was taken at the beginning of the week. Okay, yeah, mainly on Monday. Okay, didn't get the best entry. You entered in the bounce early morning, and then added a little bit to that short. Trying to attempt a long here on the stream on Tuesday, as you do know. Got stopped out a couple of times live on stream, but then managed to take advantage of this bounce of $1,000 throughout the last 2 days. I have personally haven't taken any trade setup. I've seen a couple of people inside of the trading community taking a short based on some analysis that we did provide. Okay. It is normal to get a little bit confused with the analysis that we provide, the possibilities, because there are a few of them naturally, right? We do cover a few scenarios. And Of course, that can create confusion, right? And but that's what we do as traders. As traders, we need to map the situation of what's happening, right? What is happening? What could potentially happen? And as we map the situation, we do have some trading setups. Okay, there are some trading possibilities as the price action develops. And you know, one of the scenarios as we were trading here yesterday, because I was doing some updates in the trading community, was, you know, maybe we could be forming a triangle here, right? Maybe we could be forming a triangle where we do have an impulse to the downside. This is the scenario that I would arguably discuss has happened and can potentially continue the movement down. This is why I'm a little bit skeptical about long in here. And remember, preserving capital is super important in trading, right? I would rather miss a trade than actually take a trade, you know, that I'm not confident about. I mean, you can always lower risk, right? If you're not confident on the trade, instead of risking 1% or 2%, right, on a good confident trade, you know, risking 0.5 and say, you know what, I think, you know, that we are going to bounce, right? I'm just going to lower risk because I'm not too confident. That is totally fine. Just lower the risk. But, you know, I preferably want to pass. You know, I'm happy with the long trade that I got in on Tuesday, where I did manage to cover the stop loss and made some pretty nice profits. Okay, totally transparent on that, right? We shared this on the scenario on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I shared on the stream that long trade setup did manage to go in the profit, shared the stop losses, 2 stop losses, okay, all fine. And the short as well that was mentioned on the weekend on the Saturday video update, right? You know, this is looking very, very juicy, guys, to get into the short. It could be a swing short. Is it a 5-wave move up? Is it a WXY? There was lots of overlap. So regardless of this being a 5-wave move to the upside or a WXY, you know, I can position myself for a swing. I can cover my stop loss, take a bit of profit, and leave a position open, right, for free, because I know that we are hitting a huge resistance here at 65k zone, which is the value area high of the entire range from June, July, and part of August, right, guys? You know, having this start of the rally all the way up here, as a trader and an analyst, I understand that something is likely going to finish at this zone regardless of a double, triple top, right? And it's all about how you're going to enter, how are you going to risk, you know, your trading position here. Could this be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yes. Could it be a double zigzag where you have a zigzag, there's overlap here for a wave X and another zigzag up? Maybe yes, but that comes to the conclusion that something is likely finishing here and a pullback is very, very likely. Will this pullback be a higher low, boom, and get all the way back up? Or will the pullback be the start, right, of a major move to the downside to claim these lows, right, and even go to the 61k region, which is interesting for longs, of course, which is the value area low, right? Claim that liquidity beneath these high lows. You know, that's a major projection from the weekend that we had, you know, pretty clear, right? I think we can get down below 62.5k. There is a chance. This is your entry zone. And, you know, I am in this trade from this area as explained on Saturday, right? Just for those that wanted to get a perfect entry, then you enter the double top, right? Maybe be aware of a triple top, of course, to get that, you know, really, really precise entry, which is never too easy. It might be happening at, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And you may be, you know, asleep in bed and you can't get into that precise short trade, right? Where you wick the highs, you enter here, your stop loss is above the highs, right? Give or take $100 above or so, right? To give a bit of room, and you get a great risk reward. If not, you enter somewhere in the zone, right? You go to bed and you leave a bit of a wide stop loss. It's not going to give you, you know, the best risk reward, but it's still going to be a quite good, profitable trade, good risk reward anyway, regardless, less than catching the double top, right? So that's how we could have managed that weekend short setup. So, I mean, I haven't traded in the last 2 days, but I'm having a very good week. The short from Monday that I did take from the phone, I was in the airport, and the long trade from the Tuesday stream, which I'd had a couple of stop losses and managed to profit nicely. Throughout the last 2 days, you know, the triangle kind of played out, and we are giving the options of what could form, right? Because nobody knows, but we can map the situation, right? We either form this, that, or this other thing. And one of those will give you a setup. In this case, right, you know, on yesterday, Thursday, right, as we were trading in this area, you know, what could we form a triangle, right? Could we be forming a triangle here? We got 5 down, and we could be forming an A, B, C, D, E triangle, right? Which in the end, you know, we have the invalidation, we got the setup, right? We got an entry. If you do get a move down and then a move up, that is your invalidation. You don't want to claim that lower high for the triangle, which is the C wave. So we did have this kind of formation. Obviously, the E wave got very, very close to hit that high, but, you know, still did not hit those highs. So when we do zoom in into that price action, from the trading plan that we talked about, one of the trading plans, right? And this is what creates confusion as well. I get it for a few people. Well, you know, because there's other scenarios naturally, right? I can be talking about, you know, maybe we form a diagonal to the upside here, right? We get a rally, we break up, right? And as a ABC flat, but the short entry is in this territory, right? Impulse down, flat, entry zone, stop loss, more of a swing trade perspective. So do I know that this is going to happen? No, but I know where the setup is, right? I know where the setup is, how the price needs to evolve for the setup. Okay, so no idea, my plan yesterday was not to enter a long position. I was just sharing inside of the community also the different possibilities, but also sharing how there is a very, very good chance that the lows yesterday at 63.2 were likely going to be hit 63.1, because the move up is looking corrective, high probability correction. Take out this low because we did hit the 0.88, actually hit the 0.9 Fibonacci. So longs are not looking too attractive, right? And letting the people clear yesterday and today that I am, a bounce is possible, but I am not long in it. Okay, so just sharing a little bit of what I am doing, of course, as always in the community. That's what I do. Was not interested in longs. I was explaining how there was a good chance that this low was going to be taken because this is corrective. We retraced to the 0.88, and having this to form a higher low and move up wasn't looking great, especially with this price action, which was also a high probability correction. Hence the possible triangle that was explained yesterday inside of the trading community, right? Yeah, this is a very, very good possible short trade. And then obviously, we did get that movement down for the D wave as that, post was, created when we hit round about the 63.7. And we did get a push up, almost if you did enter the short here. I did see a couple of people in the community entering this short trade. Still not stopped out, even though if you entered this E wave potential on the triangle to get that leg to the downside, obviously with the first TP1 being the low, to cover the stop loss, the fees, right, and then have a running trade to maximize profits if we do get that impulse down, right? In this case, we're looking for an ABC to the downside, and this scenario does look pretty interesting, and it's just making me feel like, why would I want to risk some of my capital if I've got a great short position from the weekend, right, analysis that was shared here on YouTube, right? And, the long trade finally gave me some good profits as well on Tuesday. So I was still running that short trade, which I did add ever so slightly. And, being in such a great position is, taking some profits, of course, is just what we want to do to cover the stop loss, cover the fees, and have that potential of claiming sub 62.3k, which is the lows here of this range, and actually going down to 61k, which I would be happy to take most of the profits, of course, of that short trade. So just going through basically how I've traded the week. Only two main zones for the short and for the long. I missed this short position, even though it was part of the plan, but I share the options where I would take a trade, even though if I don't take it, It doesn't mean that you cannot take it, right? I did see some people in the community taking that short trade, sharing the screenshot of the money shots. And yeah, just I share it, but you know, maybe I don't have my phone on me, I don't get the alert, and I don't hear it, right? And I'm not in a rush this week to take a trade because it's been a very, very good week for me at the moment. So, you know, I don't want to give money back to the market. So that's what it's all about as well, right? Preserving that capital. And I know there's a bounce potential here, but I'd rather miss the long trade. I would rather miss it. Shorts would be still looking more attractive because the probabilities right now to even claim this low over here are actually increasing. One of the main reasons why it is increasing to take out this low, despite getting a bounce, probabilities are increasing to take out 62.5. Sorry, that's 62.2, depending on what exchange, I guess. So, you know, do I want to long here? You know, not really. I know the bounce potential, but I'd rather miss the long, and just letting the people know in the community that I am personally haven't longed in the last 2 days. Okay, you just know this was interesting because, you know, we had that fair value gap right there, right? Fair value gap right there, and I understood that having a 5-wave impulse with that 5th wave finishing here was just very, very likely. So I was, you know, willing to risk a few stop losses here as well for that nice punchy move to the upside of $1,000. Okay, so what I like to explain as well in the community is, you know, the process of the last few days, because naturally I'll go through the analysis now, guys. Just bear with me here. I am going to be live for a couple of hours, and we'll break down, you know, the different levels and setups that I'm looking for. Okay, because, you know, being patient is the best thing that you can do in trading, right? I know some people want some scalps, and I want this. There's plenty of channels out there that do that. I'm not sure if they are extremely successful and are profitable long term, but if you want that entertainment, there are some scalping channels out there. I like to share the process, of course, of, you know, what we do have. Right, what we have, where there's better trades, and I want to take the better trades because I want to make money at the end of the month, right? And I know that you do as well, right? So when we do go through the price action of the last 1 to 2 weeks, you know, you do come into clear zones. Sometimes it does get blurry, and you know there's several options, especially after forming an impulse down. Now, when we do understand Elliott wave theory very much, we understand that after an impulse, there is a chance to form many type of corrective structures. Despite hitting good support, despite, you know, whatever in levels, if you're looking for a quick scalp, you know, after an impulse, you can form several corrections, right? You can form several corrections: sideways WXY, a triangle, you know, steep ABC to the upside. You just don't know which correction you are going to form, right? I don't know. So we know that we could form 2-3 type of corrective moves that would have high probability, and those 2-3 type of corrections will give us a trade setup. They will give us a trade setup, such as the triangle yesterday that did happen. It gives you a setup, it gives you a stop loss, it gives you a TP1, and that's what formed, and that's what happened, right? So did I know that a triangle was going to be formed? No. Did I know that it could happen? Yes. Did I know where the entry is? Yes. Did I know where the stop loss is? Yes. Do I know where the profit first TP is? Yes. But I don't know if we're going to form that triangle, right? And you know, that's the whole. You know, the sooner you understand this, the sooner you are going to be a profitable trader. That, you know, you need to understand bullish, bearish case, the several options, and just choose the best option as the price develops to take that trade. So, you know, I like this potential for this, you know, this triangle still continuing. You know, maybe we're still developing, still wave 3. It does look like we are slowing, chopping here. But because we have that bearish option, for me, it's a relatively risky long. And, you know, at the end of the day, there's something very, very good about this potential ABC move down. The drop preferably happens today, Friday, as that's where we want the volatility. Weekends have low volatility. Bear with me here, guys, because there could be an awesome, and this is a Friday stream, kind of Monday preparation, Sunday, Monday preparation. And, you know, I will go through the scenarios, of course, right? And inside of the community was just mentioning yesterday how the price could develop, right? And in the end, the triangle did happen, right? You could argue discuss this is very, very valid for a B wave that was mentioned yesterday, right? As explained, as shared, of course. You know, the triangle seemed like was the pattern that developed yesterday, getting that leg to the downside, as you can see, right, with the post, with the triangle finishing. Guys, if you're interested in the trading community where we provide the updates, we share the possibilities, the setups as well. So, I mean, the setup, the patience, right? What could form? We don't know what's going to be the pattern that forms, but we do have a very good idea with our experience, myself and Devil, that this could happen or that could happen. And whatever does happen, you need the structure to finish, such as this triangle. You know, you need that leg down and that leg up to you know, potentially to consider that short at the 63.6, 63.7 stop loss at above the highs here, just slightly below 64k, right? That formed, we moved down and we moved up. That gives you the potential trigger area with good risk management and a good take profit zone. So if you're interested, you know where to find us, guys. Send me the word access down below in the first link. Okay, we work very hard. We are of course developing a powerhouse here on trading tools that are valuable, very valuable, all right, to take decisions, which is obviously order flow, CVD divergence, where you can see the confirmation of the CVD that have been playing out, and many other different things here that are very, very valuable on mindpillar.com. You know, to get access to this just by signing up throughout one of the affiliate links, okay, doing a minimum deposit, trade as you do usually, okay, you get access to the trading community. You got tutorials in there, you got guidance every day, you got a very active community, and you're also getting access to mindpillar.com with all of these great tools such as order flow, right, which is our star indicator here, right, our star tool that we have for the moment. We are developing more things such as getting naked point controls automatically here, right, and also weekly levels, daily levels, single prints, right, all sorts of different order blocks, right, and just by a click of a button, we are developing that. Okay, got a very strong developing team working behind this, and it will be launched in a few weeks, I would assume. So we just just making this even better every week, every month, right, as we build all of these tools here at mindpillar.com. Okay, if you're interested, send me the word access. If you want all of this, if you want great guidance, okay, and education, you know where to find us, guys. It's the Telegram down below. So with this said, sorry about that, I needed that drink. Throat was getting a bit dry. Okay, so right, yeah, I mean, this is still very, very valid. Friday, you know, we do know that Fridays like to be dumpy days as well, right? Friday is sometimes a bit of a dumpy day. And I would actually enjoy that dump to come to the downside. You know, I would, because I'm in no long, you know, and I'm just sharing my thought process here, of course. I think, you know, there would be a very, very good long position. If this ends up moving down, and I mean, this does look like it's slowing down here, right? You would say, doesn't this look like a 5-wave move down? Doesn't this have the chance already of being an ABC to the downside kind of formation from the E wave, right? 1, 2, 3, ABC. You got a bit of a 5-waver. It does look like that a bounce here is very, very possible. It really does look like just creating that choppiness down here, slowing down, right? Because you kind of have that first little move to the downside here. Right, boom, boom, lower high, and then you get that speedy move down, and then you're slowing down here. This is very, very classic kind of wave 4 price action when we consider the lower time frame, and now the less push down, which is coming to this 2-hour order block. We're hitting the 0.88 Fibonacci, which has been very, very cheeky a lot of the times. We've seen 0.88 bounces that are very, very successful, that can bounce significantly, and you miss a low, right, by a few $100s maybe, right? It looks like you're going to claim it, and then it suddenly reverses, and you're just a few $100s by hitting that level. I've seen this very, very often lately in the last year for Bitcoin. So yeah, I mean, there is a bounce potential as explained, but I'm really not bothered about that bounce, because I know that, if we are going to be proven that we are going to reverse from here, and this is not going to go lower, I really need to see some kind of market structure change locally, but with a pretty nice impulsive looking move, which obviously would develop throughout the next couple of days, and then really pay attention to the movement down if we can spot something that looks flaggy, corrective. Because right now, when we look for the long, having the bearish options such as 112 down or 1-2, this is just playing around here, and then we just get a steep leg down with high volume, that naturally would mean that we're having a wave, an impulsive move here to the downside, right? You're really trying to catch the low here, and we've got this bearish option, this main bearish option, which would be the start of an impulse down, right, from the end of the triangle here, from this correction. So it's one of those areas which I know that it can bounce, but I would prefer to join the potential rally to the upside, right, the impulse or whatever, when we see a sign of strength and we get a very overlappy corrective structure, which I'll have to join, later on, right, at least to take out the highs and see if we can get that pop to the upside and be positioned here and manage risk accordingly as we develop that move. So I'd rather enter along, potentially on Sunday maybe. I will be paying attention on Sunday. I think that would be my favorite day, just before the markets open on Monday, to be positioned if we do get this kind of impulse between Friday and Saturday correction. So, there's no rush, and because there's bearish options, this is the main one, right? Just impulse down, right? And then the triangle, and then another impulse down to go lower. It's a risk that I do not need to take. It's just a risk that I don't need to take. It's all good and fun to try and get the low. And in the community, obviously, because it's an open community, I do read, the analysis, and I do share myself. I'm not entering the long guys, okay? Then you obviously everybody does whatever the heck they want, right? You don't need to follow us. We just give guidance of what we are doing. And people are, trying to really long this area, right? It is one of those areas. If you look at Elliott wave theory on the lower time frame with this move down, it just does look like it wants to get the bounce, and it can be a shallow bounce and then move down. So you create a 1-2-1-2, and then you start dumping by tonight, right? Or continue the dump down, right? Or maybe get an impulse up throughout, the rest of Friday. We can detect an impulse. We can detect a high probability impulse and a high probability correction, which would be the most important thing, because obviously you got the flats and then down, right? Those are always possible. It's the correction that needs to be identified, rather than, okay, we got an impulse, then it's a confirmation high or low. No, it's not, because the flats are always possible, right? So having a 5-wave move up is not a confirmation that we're going to go higher. that we will form a higher low. It's not guaranteed because a flat is possible, right? ABC flat down. So the correction is going to be very, very crucial to detect between Saturday and Sunday if that is going to be the case. And I'll be happy to attempt a long position to see if we are going to get, you know, the lower highs from the last few days above 64.4, right? Can we manage to sweep all of these lower highs? I need a sign of strength, you know, right now, because there is a bearish option. It's just we're downtrending. It's bearish market structure. I don't want to long. I just don't feel great. Obviously, I can get into a small long, risk 2.05, right, or 0.03, and say, right, yeah, well, I'm going to take a shot, right? Stop loss, give a bit of room, maybe attempt the long. I just don't see a great risk to reward. I don't see a high probability, right? It doesn't fit based on my trading rules for me to take this long. And I know we can bounce, but I'll be happy to miss it. You know, I've had an awesome week, as you do know, and just don't want to risk it, right? Are you scared? Scared money don't make money. You might have heard that before. No, I'm just a very, very good, conservative, consistent, high probability trader. That's it. So if we do end up moving lower, so you know, there's no rush. As explained, we get a strong bounce with an impulsive looking structure and an overlapping correction throughout Saturday, maybe part of Sunday. There will be time to decide if I want to enter the long. So instead of catching the ultimate low, right, of the move, which I understand, you know, this is really a zone that can get that nice bounce of, you know, $700-800, maybe even more. But staying realistic with the volatility that there is at the moment, I wouldn't expect, you know, a $2,000-3,000 move up, right, today. Being realistic, right? We need to learn the sentiment, the volatility, what's going on. I don't think that getting more than a $700-800 bounce here today is roundabout right if it is going to happen. So instead of catching this low, you know, I would rather get a bit of confirmation, right? Get a bit of a confirmation of that the bulls are stepping in, right? And get a corrective structure, because yeah, longing later on for me would be better, right? It would be just higher probability, right? If I can detect that corrective move to the downside and attempt a move up. Either there's two options, of course, in a C wave, or in a third wave, right? And then 4 and 5. Or maybe it's going to be a more shallow, right? I don't know, but you're obviously positioning myself. I would rather position myself after an impulse, seeing a high probability correction. In this case, right? Instead of catching the low. Now, I'm already positioned short from Monday, basically, from this zone. I think a few of you are already positioned as a day trade swing short position, right? Some people in the community did manage to short here in this area for that E wave of the triangle, and no new local longs since this zone. You know, I didn't long this, I didn't long here, I didn't long anywhere in this area, and I'm not longing at the moment here. So I'm already positioned in a short, as explained, and I can join along later on with that impulse up, then a correction throughout, you know, Saturday, Sunday. You know, there's no rush. There's no rush. If we do get a leg down, keeping things simple here, right? Getting a little bit of Elliott wave theory out of the way at the moment, just to simplify things. You know, valley area low of the trading area is obviously a major level, especially considering that it is a liquidity grab zone, right? Those higher lows, there are stop losses in, you know, beneath these lows. So getting that stop loss hunt into the value area low is naturally, just like you swept up this high over here. We didn't quite reach this one, but we had an awesome barrier with the value area high, and we understood that, you know, something is finishing here with a high probability based on this movement, right? Counting the waves. So this is just going to be an incredible long opportunity area, in my opinion, and I will be following up if I need to stay awake, because we are coming down in this area, say Monday, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, once the price reaches this area, I'm going to do an effort of staying awake, because believe it or not, there is an incredible potential of, you know, just creating a bear trap situation. It's one of those zones where a bear trap, people will start screaming that we are coming down already to get to sub 58k. And this is one of those areas that has a very good chance, based on the information that we have on the chart, to rally above 67k, which naturally is a move of $8,000, right? Potential, right? From this area, which is going to take 1 to 2 weeks easily to form, right? Coming into September maybe. And you might think, well, you know, there's no time. The bear market low should be in October. Well, you know, we don't need to follow the exact 4-year cycle theory, and people would be surprised. We'll be like, what the heck is going on? You know, I thought we were really going to come down to below 58k once we start coming to this zone. I am going to be glued to the chart for many hours. If it needs to be 24 hours, it will be, because I know that I just need that full attention to really analyze the move down from, you know, from here, right? Basically from Monday, really spotting how the price develops. Do we get proof of support? Do we get, you know, how many waves do we have? What, you know, I'm going to have all of the scenarios available based on how we get down there. That's if we do get down there, of course. I don't know if we will. You know, there's a bounce potential from here, of course. But I know that it's worth really getting glued to the chart for many hours here, right? If it needs to be 24 hours, it will be, because I know that I can make the month of September and even August in this territory, because I know that this can happen. And I just need one good trade for the month based on my capital and obviously the swing trading that I'm mainly more of a swing trader. I do get into day trades. I do enjoy day trades as well, but they need to be very good setups. But I know that this trade could, you know, pay me, you know, August, September, and even part of October, right? It's just one of those big trades that I want to get into. And I know there's a very good chance for this because of the information that has been given, right, in the last few weeks. And I want to just break that down with you, okay? I just want to break that down. Why is this such a good, interesting, long potential? And remember, we need to see proof of support. We need, I don't care if I long here, or I long here, if we're going to come all the way up here. Do you think it matters if I catch the exact low? Absolutely not. It does not matter. It's going to be risky if you try to catch a falling knife. Proof of support is important. Local bullish market structure. I'll be taking a look at order flow. I'll be taking a look at every single wave potential. You know, obviously informing in the community, because I want to take this trade with the community. I want to take it, you know, sharing with the community, of course, right? I want to say, guys, you know, this is the swing long that I am interested in, just like the swing long I was interested in the first week of July, which I'm still running, of course, part of that swing long. And this was a swing long that was given, right, in the community, right? It was given in detail, the stop loss, the entry, the percentage that I'm risking. And I want to give that as well with the community. as the trade that I am entering, just so they know that I'm entering that trade, such as this one, right, that was shared in the community. Getting a bit glitchy, this. What's going on? So yeah, we'll be paying attention very, very closely if we do get a move down. If we do get the rally, well, there's time to join the move to the upside, right? It's just no worries on that. Let me just explain why is it so attractive. This 61k territory, this value area low, why is it so attractive? Not only because of the confluence that there is there in this area was awesome, right? This area, as explained also on the video update on Saturday, guys, we got a weekly here, we got a value area high. I also shared the option of the WXY. We're just looking at something to finish here, 1 2 3 4 5 or double zigzag. This is a big confluence. This is good for the short trade, right? Either Sunday or maybe Monday if you catch the double top. And I think we're going to have something similar as a good entry, but obviously for the long side, right? And despite being bearish, right? Oh, we're going to go down. The bear market is not finished. We're going to go lower. I do think so, but I do know that maybe it happens maybe in September, right? It doesn't have to happen now. And I'm a trader. I am obviously realizing the longs and short opportunities, and you should as well, right? You don't just be bearish or just be bullish. Have an open mind on the different possibilities, right? So the reasons of this long trader is going to be explained right away, and just to keep things simple based on confluence, and I'll make it a bit more complex, of course, with Elliott wave theory, but explaining why this zone is so interesting. And then we'll zoom in on the lower time frames to try and obviously look at the different areas that could be good for either a long or a short. Okay, smash up the like button if you do enjoy the content, guys. I'm just going to get a drink of water, stretch my legs here for 10 seconds. For either a long or a short. And let's get to over 100 likes. That would be awesome. I'll go quickly through the comment section just in case there's a question or whatever, right? Okay, I will go through comment section because I know there's some questions, very, very likely. And then we'll cover this scenario. Okay, there's no rush. I'm going to be here for easily another hour, guys. So there's time to explain these scenarios. Okay. Okay, right, quick comment section. Much love to everybody. Okay, sorry about that, did not go through the comment section. Hello Rick, how are you doing, my man? Thanks for joining. Albert, good evening, Andy and the legends. Albert, much love, hope you're doing well. Lekid, also Andy the man, the legends, thanks for joining. What's up, Market M, how are you doing? Thanks for joining the stream. Beth Maria Vallejos, Andy Mujamor, you are the alpha. I'm so glad and proud of Beth Maria. She's sharing that. I hope that I can say this, but she did lose significant capital in the last couple of years, and she just sent me a really nice message saying that she's recovered everything that she lost in trading in the last 4 months or so, which is just mind-blowing. And just she's sharing screenshots of having 11 consistent profitable trades, and I'm saying to her, damn, you're already better than me. These are just awesome stories, guys, that it's really, really nice to see, right? People understanding the being patient, being responsible with their trading. And she just shared yesterday, actually today, this screenshot of 11 times winning streak, which is absolutely incredible. And I was just letting her know, you're already better than me with the winning streaks, which is awesome to see. Arriving just in time for the scalp long, Lekid. Yeah, I mean, we are in a bouncing zone. I have to be honest here. It does look like that. You are slowing down here, right? You are slowing down as you got the steep move here, which is just a very, very classic behavior for the impulse, right? It does look like that you are looking for that bounce in this zone. Not against this long, just because I don't take it, obviously. You know that I miss a lot of trades, guys, okay? So just because I don't take it doesn't mean that you can't, right? You don't need to take every single trade that I take, or if I don't like a trade, doesn't mean that you cannot take it. You just manage risk accordingly. Okay, so there is a bounce potential here. I'm just happy with my week, right? And this is what's different from every trader, right? If you're happy with your gains of the week, I'm like, I don't need a trade till next week, right? I'm happy with the gains. It's been an awesome week. Unless I see something very clear, I don't want to trade it. And it's frustrating the amount of patience and the success that you can have as a trader, because it can become very boring, right? But trust me, if you are looking for hype, you're looking for someone that's taking lots of trades every day, you're going to realize that there's going to be a lot of stop losses that you just need to obviously digest and then leave and go to another community or another YouTuber, right? That claimed himself to be a successful trader out there. It's just people will end up coming back to what it really works. Market M, much love to you, my man. Bath Maria, happy Friday. John W, legend. Hi, Andy Francisco. How are you doing, my man? Jay, how are you? Joy, sorry. Good day. Uncle Krill, that tune has put me in a mood now. Happy Friday, let's go. Yeah, the entry tune I like it. That's why it's still there. Good day, good day. Mariella, thanks for joining. A trader, no bounce yet, says King K. Take it easy, legend. Enjoy your weekend. I will do so. I hope everybody does as well. Minimal space. Sending my blessings. King K, much love. I don't think there will be a bounce, not financial advice. Yeah. And please don't add to that position. Right. Rick, of course not, but thanks for the advice. Anyways, much love. Thiago, thanks for joining. 400 million liquidations at 62.3. Yeah, that is also true. That's a little bit disturbing that we do have that. Lots of liquidity down below at 62.3, basically 62.2. Those higher lows, there's lots of liquidity, as we can see, right? And is the market going to get that bounce, leaving that liquidity behind? Probably not, right? Probably not. So this is why this long is a little bit... yeah, I really would be happy to miss it, right? It's just, as explained. Andy, what is the best zone to short in the upcoming weeks? I'm in this summer rally top. Well, we this was a very, that I've been trying to swing short here in the last couple of weeks, which obviously with the rally here, position has been stopped out, but re-entered here. And despite the low probability bearish option to claim sub 58k, I will still consider a great short position here. We had different Elliott wave options to short the Valley area high and the weekly level that we had in this territory, right? I know that a pullback is extremely likely. Will this pullback manage to move down to sub 58k? Possible. Will it form a higher low and then come back up? That is possible as well. I don't know, but I know that this is a shorting zone. I know that this is the zone where I want to enter the short. And not only because of the confluence, right? We were hitting the golden pocket from this peak high to the peak low. Awesome, 61865. We're hitting the Valley area high. Great. We're hitting a weekly level, right? Awesome confluence. And then when we dive in through the Elliott wave scenarios, it's like, this moved down. This was explained on Saturday, but I'll explain it again. this move to the upside is coming to something, is going to likely finish somewhere in this zone. When I consider the Elliott wave scenario as the most bearish case, which has low probability, is the expanding diagonal, because they are just rare. Not this one. This one. They're just very, very rare to see as this as a wave 1. Leading expanding diagonal. Wave 1 or wave A. Can this be wave 1 or wave A? Yes, it can. It can. Meaning that you're looking to claim that low for either wave C and then up, or for either a wave 3, right? So I know that this is an interesting area with the confluence based on this scenario, which still has low probability. Then we had the other scenario, which is this one, which this scenario was mentioned when we were trading in this zone, where we have a zigzag down and an ABC flat potential here. So ABC flat, in this case, the flat being wave X, I know that we can form a zigzag down here despite how it moves, right? Maybe this is the triangle, and then we get obviously the aggressive move down today, preferably, because weekend is usually low volatility. If it needs to drop, preferably it drops today, Friday still being inside of the trading week, right? Not Saturday, Sunday. I mean, could it drop on Saturday? Yes, it can. It doesn't. We don't usually have volatile moves, but still, it's $1,500 move, right? It's not that big of a move. So can it happen a Saturday? It can. It's not that volatile of a big move. But yeah, considering this scenario, I was just understanding, right? It's all about understanding. This could be an expanding diagonal. Boom, boom. This could be this scenario, right? Zigzag, flat, zigzag down. So I don't know which one is going to be the one that does develop. So, but I do know that, based on the scenarios, this is still a shorting zone, right? So when we do take a look at the other options as explained, and the long position that I will inform about this long in the trading community, I have no other option, because I will enter this trade if basically the analysis aligns and we do get proof of support. We're having a very, very similar confluence situation here at the value area low, such as the value area high, where we also have the golden pocket from the pivot low to the pivot high of the range. This pivot high, not this one. So yeah, golden pocket, value area low, golden pocket, value area high, which we did reject, right, last week throughout the weekend. Golden pocket, value area high, rejection. Golden pocket, value area low, bounce potential, right? So just based on the confluence, it's an interesting area. It's more interesting considering Elliott wave theory, because an expanding diagonal is very, very rare, and this is the only option that I have for the price to move down in a wave 3. It's the only option, and having this as the only option is, I don't think we're going to get down below 58k before hitting, first hitting plus 67. And there is also the chance of this being a higher low, right? That would be cheeky, right? If we do get an impulse, there is a chance. I'll explain those Elliott wave scenarios, but as explained, I'm not bothered of catching the low here, understanding that it can bounce. I can long later on in the weekend, right? If we are going to start forming that bullish sign that we could be forming the next leg up in a wave 3 here, right? There will be time to take that long in the weekend, right? If you want to be a bottom catcher, right, just be cautious for having smelly fingers, right? Just manage risk. As explained, it is a bouncing potential zone, but manage risk accordingly. Okay. So yeah, the very bearish option, which is the only one that I have, is not great, because an expanding diagonal for wave 1 array is just a leading expanding diagonal. It is so rare. It is so rare that I know it's low probability. So taking out sub 58k is not in my plan here. I know it can happen, and I'm happy for it to happen because I'm in a great short position, right? So how come you're in that short if you don't like this scenario, right? How come you're leaving significant? I will take most of the profits of that short if, once we get down to this 61k zone. But I'll leave some open, of course, to hedge against the possible longs that I could take. So coming down to 58k, sub 57.7, which is the lows of the range, is I'm not counting on that for the moment for the next week. 1 to 2 weeks, I'm not counting on it really. It all depends on how this area does survive. Do we slice through the level with high volume? It just keeps dipping. Then it's like, whoa, I'm not interested in the long. Or do we see proof of support? We'll be paying attention on how we get down there. I'll explain the possibilities on how we get down there now on the lower time frame, just so you're ready, right? This is all about planning and understanding the analysis. So this scenario is low probability. I'm really not counting on it. 1, 2, and do we have another 1, 2? It doesn't look great as well as this being, starting multiple 1, 2s. We've got a bit of a triangle. It can be a sideways WXY. Yes, I understand that, but it's not looking extremely great to get a successful breakdown in the next 1 to 2 weeks to get below 58k. And this movement down from this high still has high probability based on the information to be something corrective and possibly claim 66.8k high, because the bearish option is not a high probability option. So obviously my kind of favorite one, which has been for over 1, even almost 2 weeks now, since the beginning of August, is this one. Still the scenario that's kind of following the analysis of my favorite option, which is this one right over here, right? The WXY double zigzag. Very confusing for most of the traders, which is completely normal. You need to be confused. People need to be confused, because if everybody makes money in trading, then we can't make money, right? So we need people to be confused of the choppiness and what's going on, because that's how it's a zero-sum game, right? People need to lose so I can make money. And it's just because the trading industry is like that. So this option right over here still is kind of my favorite till proven that this is not the scenario that's not going to play out. First of all, I need proof of an impulse here and a correction. Then I might say, you know what, maybe something finished here, right? Maybe we do end up moving to the upside, and then Sunday, Monday, I decide to position myself in a long and be happy with the move up, right? We need to adapt to the information that is given. For the moment, local structure is down. The potential of going lower is there, but I'm happy for a pump here and a correction, and position myself Monday, Sunday, Monday maybe, if we do get a proven leg up with an impulse and a corrective structure. Now, because the expanding diagonal as a wave 1 and this 2, and just continuing down in a wave 3 here is low probability, I know there's a very, very good chance that this area is going to hold. Very, very good chance. If we do come down here, it is very, very likely going to hold. So how we get down there, if we do get down there, is going to be studied very, very carefully in the coming days, right? If it does get down there, I'll be paying very, very close attention to position myself in that potential epic long. And obviously this would be looking for a WXY double zigzag to the upside, which is zigzag up And now we're forming this complex wave X, which wave X's like to be complex. It's just the way it is. They are almost always very, very complex. A wave X by itself can be a WXY, where you have a zigzag, you have a flat, you have another zigzag, and everybody's like, what the heck's going on? So this is, we can map that situation. We map the situation, and we know the trading opportunities, such as the short here, such as the long here, right? In this zone. So as I understand that moving down straight away in the next coming days is low probability, I'm just aware of the price, bouncing, right? About coming up to plus 66.8k. So will I manage to long here, or will I manage to long impulse correction, right? And you might think, oh man, I was waiting for here, but I will be ready to see a sign of strength and a correction to get into that long, because this is the classic thing, right? We're waiting to long down here, and the market just suddenly decides it's not going down there. But with the information and tools that we use, order flow could be very interesting throughout the pumping correction. We'll be eyeing order flow as well. The thing about the order flow right now is we have open interest increasing as we do get negative delta. So it's just one of those things that is against the pump here. But yeah, a bounce, as explained, was something that is very much possible in this zone, right? So I'm going to go through the lower time frame to explain a little bit what I want to see here in the next 1 to 2 days, basically, right? Preferably we do get a shallow bounce throughout the next coming hours, and then it just tanks before the market closes tonight. And then the weekend is going to be very, very interesting. If we're coming down and we're trading in this 61k zone throughout the weekend, I am expecting a Monday pump. Monday, Tuesday, right? Maybe Sunday evening. And I'll explain why on the lower time frames, on mapping the situation on how I would like to see the price develop. Maybe it doesn't happen, but if it does, I am ready. I know my trading plan. I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I know it can happen. So if it does, I'll be ready for that long attempt, right? And obviously informing the trading community of that trade setup, right, that I would be looking. Remember, guys, if you're interested, send me the word access, because that's where we do talk about the trade setups, the trade potentials, the latest one out of a few scenarios. But having a few scenarios doesn't need to create confusion. It just needs to, you need to understand that that is where the setup is in the case of the triangle. Because, we got a message, too many scenarios, it looks confusing. But all of the scenarios do bring a setup. They do bring a setup, right? This is the setup if we get a higher low and a lower high, right? That is the setup. That is the invalidation. Are we going to form the triangle? I don't know. I know it can. So if it does form a higher low and get a bounce, that is an interesting shorting zone, interesting invalidation. We did get the move down, TP1, right? Manage the trade accordingly as we move, right? So Bitcoin getting a bit of a bounce at the moment, getting a bit of a bounce. Let's see how this bounce develops. And I'm going to explain the bearish option, the invalidation, right? This bearish option, and how I would approach the bullish option if we do not get the leg down. Okay. So bear with me here, guys, for a few minutes, and then I'll go through the comment section. But I just want to cover this explanation. First of all, not interested in anything here. I just, obviously said that we could be bouncing from here, but I'm not interested in this long. If you did take that long, then great. Just manage the trade accordingly, right? Manage risk. Could we get a nice bounce of $700-800 as explained at the beginning of the stream? Yeah, but I'm not interested in that scalp. I'm interested in the big moves, because that's where I make my capital, right? That's how I make my gains, and I'm here to explain how I make my gains, not So how do we get down to this area with the local information? If this is going to be the Elliott wave scenario that is developing, which is the zigzag down in W, flat in wave X, and now I want to see the zigzag down from that triangle. And something that is very, very good to understand about a triangle is that I'll go through the other waves as well, but first of all I'm going to talk about the one that looks more interesting for me with the information that we got, and that a triangle in a correction cannot be a wave 2. A wave 2 cannot be a triangle, meaning that this cannot be a wave 1, 2, and you're looking for 3, or either another 1 and 2, right? Or not 1, 2, 1, 2, and then boom, right? And you develop wave 3 really aggressively, then wave 4 and 5, right? You just can't form a wave 3. You would be looking for a wave C or a wave Y, because a triangle can be either wave B, either a wave X, right? Or either a wave 4, but it can't be a 2. It can't be a wave 2. So I would not expect a wave 3 breakdown if this is the correct count. So as a triangle, because of the sideways momentum, there is a chance of a sideways WXY here, which will also be explained. But if it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E for the triangle, I'm looking for a wave B. Higher probability for this to be a wave B at the moment, meaning that this push down, if it is going to continue with the local impulse, it's likely going to be a wave C. Hence the very good potential long, right? Coming down to the 61K territory, right? Which obviously would take a couple of days to get down there. So, right, I understand that if this is a triangle which has the potential, I know it's not a wave 2. I know it's likely a wave B. So now is where it becomes interesting to map the situation here. After that triangle, let me just clean the chart here 1 second. When I am looking at this impulse down, A, B, C, D, E for the triangle, very, very possible. This move down, starts from this point, right? It starts from this point. So I know the leg down, right? The correction finishes here. All of this being a correction, either a triangle. There is a sideways WXY potential, which I will go through later on. The move down starts from this pivot. For the moment, leg down, correction. Okay. Big move down, lower high, another big move down. Well, big move down, another leg to the downside, claiming the low. So another leg to the downside. Does this have the possibility of being an ABC? Yes, it does, and I'll go later on through that bullish case. Okay, but first of all, the bearish case, because the bearish case is coming lower and coming into such an awesome swing long that I know that I will make significant gains out of this trade. It's just I need a bit of patience. We need to get down there. We need to see the development of the waves, which people do get frustrated. I do get it. This guy's patience is, I can't take it, right? I can't take this guy's patience, but patience is a skill that you need in trading. You need it. It's not that you don't like it or you can't be patient. You need to be patient in trading till the planets align, the confluence, the waves, and then pull the trigger. It's super important, guys. You know, it's just the only way that I've figured out throughout the last few years that I can stay consistent, and I'm happy to share it with you, right? So yeah, this does have a possibility right there to be a double 1-2, because if you had this leg down as a wave 1, right, and this bounce as a wave 2, if you did not break down in a wave 3 to then form 4 and 5, then you could be forming another 1-2. Double 1-2 is very possible here. Now, I would want to see that correction, finish in the next coming hours. I'm not interested, as explained, on either the long here. Yeah, we're getting the bounce, phenomenal. I'm not interested in doing anything here. I've had an awesome week. It's just as I'm not particularly interested at the moment. Bounce potential, yes, of course, we are bouncing at the moment. So nice to see that there is that chance of bouncing, as explained at the beginning of the stream here. This would be kind of the invalidation, right, of the double 1-2. Well, it would be. I mean, I'm not a fan here of forming a flat, just because it would just take too long compared to the wave 1. It would be an extremely long wave 2, because this was a very, very quick move down here. Yeah, I mean, it would be 10 times longer than the wave 1, so it's not great. So if this high is taken, I would think that this high is going to be taken, and we could be going obviously to take these highs at 64.4. If this low high is taken, there's a chance of having something finished, which I'll explain right away. I'm just explaining this possibility because this possibility is going to open the door for the long setup down here at 61k. Okay, and for the moment that would be a double 1-2. This double 1-2 of course would bring the move down as a wave 3, right? And then obviously the 4 and 5 coming into Saturday, Sunday. This is what I would want to see to be confident in taking the long trade in this zone for next week. I know next week can be a bullish move up if we do get down to 61k, and at the end of the day, this would be a ABC move to the downside. That's what I would be looking for here. So this is the kind of move that I would be wanting to see after the triangle. I don't know how wave 3 is going to develop, but what I want to see after the big move, right, the bigger move, separating from the overlap, right? We need a separation from the overlap, because that's how you can detect an impulse, right? This overlap, sideways, wave 2, whatever. What I want to see is this, because once this move happens after the overlap, I know that, obviously with the extension, this was explained on a stream on Tuesday. Basically on Tuesday, it was explained that this is a high probability wave 3 because of the extension. It was like twice the length of wave 1. And it is quite rare to see an ABC, a C wave, like twice the length of wave A. You do see them, but they're just not very, very common. So the probability of taking the low here was high, and for this to be a wave 3. Now, the fact that we got the separation here from this overlap, I know that forming a wave 4 and 5, and this is the long, right, from Tuesday. I know that a move up here to the 382 wave 4 zone. We didn't claim the high. We had the news of CPI here. So taking profits. I accidentally took all of the profits on that move up, which obviously played well on my side, but I was going to take 75% regardless. So with this with this scenario, obviously, I need a lower high. I need a big move down. I need the wave 3. You know, I need this separation from the overlapping structure. I need the separation. I need a strong leg down. Once the strong leg down is done, I know that what I'm looking for is the choppiness down here again, right? Or what, in this case, double 1, 2, as I know that this is likely the high of the correction. And this high of the correction can be the triangle for the wave B in this case, where a triangle cannot be a wave 2. So I'm looking for a wave B or either a wave X, right? For this high, right? So the bearish case, which would be bearish, you know, between today, tomorrow, part of Sunday, of course. Preferably this happens Saturday, Sunday, right? Coming into Monday, I do see a Sunday, Monday pump, right? I just don't know how we're going to get down there. I just need the separation. I need a big move down, because what usually happens after the strong leg down is the 4-5. What happens after the 4-5? Then bounces become interesting. Obviously, we knew that this could be a wave 1 or a wave A, right? So yeah, a bounce, yes, taking out the high or not. We're looking for lower later on during the week. It's just a fact, right? This is the first leg down in an impulse from a very strong high. You know, I knew that this bounce was likely going to form a lower high and then move lower. But what becomes interesting right now, considering zooming out, is, you know, if we do roll over, you know, between today and tomorrow here, preferably it does happen tonight before markets close for that wave 3. There's a shallow bounce and then just nuke down tonight. You know, this would be ideal because there's not much volatility during the weekend. I would want to see that happen, right, between tonight and Saturday. I mean, we're thinking that this is a big move, but it's just $1,500 move, which can happen on a Saturday, right? It's not a big move. Because it's the summer and there's low volatility, you know, we think that a $2,000 move is massive, but it's not for Bitcoin really. So it can happen Saturday, I would say. You know, there's a chance. It's not a big move. But what's important is the separation of the overlap to determine that this is very likely a wave 3. Obviously, after the wave 3, you're looking for 4-5. And because we have a double 1-2 potential here, you know, you're looking for a double 4-5. So get that choppiness into that valley area low of the entire trading zone, right, from June, July, and August, right? Get that choppiness, get down below 61K, claim all of that liquidity, and getting that separation, if it does happen. And this is just getting a preparation for a swing long. It's a preparation, it's a plan, it's something that based on the information that we got, I know it can happen. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I know how it can happen. And if it happens as so, separation from 1-2s, get the choppiness, proof of support for the 4-5s, looking for the triple bottom here, you know, or longing later on after a confirmed impulse and a correction in this zone is going to be the golden ticket. It's going to be the golden ticket. So yeah, this requires a bit of patience. It requires obviously a couple of days coming into the weekend. Might be Monday where that long trade is taken, right? Just don't know exactly how it's going to happen, right? How fast it's going to be, how slow it's going to be. We don't know. But what I do need is the separation. I need the wave 3. That's what I need to see. Regardless how deep, how ferocious, it doesn't matter. Because what I am interested is in the 4-5s. That's what I need to see. That's the only thing that I need to see. The proof of support, the proof of 4-5s in the valley area low territory, right? Fake out kind of price action. That will be the moment to take action for an epic swing long trade. So yeah, I mean, I'm chilled. We chilled, right? We relaxed. I've had a great week. I don't need to overtrade. I just know that there could be a great position, you know, by next week, maybe Sunday, maybe Monday. Don't know. We need to get down there. So will we get down there? Maybe not. I'll explain the bullish options now. And yeah, I'll explain the bullish options. But this is the swing, and I am mainly a swing trader. That's where I make, you know, most of my capital. We discuss, you know, in a swing trade. And I know that this does have a very good chance to create that ABC to the upside, which is obviously forming that double zigzag, right? WXY. You know, what I'm looking for here is some kind of a zigzag structure to the upside, right, to get above 67k. And obviously by the end of August, coming into September, it could be a major swing for a couple, 3 weeks maybe, just like the swing long position from July, which I'm currently still holding some of that position just in case we end up rallying from here, right? Which I don't think is likely, but who knows. So yeah, that's a little bit it here, guys, based on that very attractive swing long potential that I could have in a few days, right, which I want to share with you. Right, let's just delete all of this and go through the local scenarios as well, which are very important. What other scenarios do we have here with this local move down? Because yeah, that's not the only one, but it's the one that I like the most at the moment, right? So, you know, from that high, you know, 112, I know it's possible. I need a separation here for the wave 3 because I'm looking for the 4-5, because I'm looking for that bounce, and I know that this could very much likely be an ABC and then move up rather than a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Because wave 2s cannot be a triangle. Now there is a little bit of a possibility of a sideways WXY here. I'm just coming to the conclusion, right? We always need a bullish option to prove me wrong, right? Prove wrong of the bearish option, which, you know, as traders, I'm you know, I'm not here to be right or wrong. I'm here to figure out what is the highest probability move and position myself for the moment on this down trending structure for the last week. It's not looking great for the bulls, and it's very hard to try and catch a low, right? This was a low catching, which I did get a bit of damage on Tuesday, right? I did say, you know, I got stopped out a couple of times, but managed to. I'm still interested in that fair value gap, still interested in high probability. We're looking for something to finish here to get that bounce of $1,000 or so, right? Which did finally happen, which was, yeah, I mean, it was good. It was good in the end. So what other bullish options do we have here? Because that would be the main bearish one, really, which is not too bearish. You know, we're still looking for a bounce at 61k territory, right? Could we hit 60.5k and then bounce from there? Yeah, maybe. We'll figure that out in a few days, not to worry. But what bullish options do we have from here? Is there a very strong bullish case where we could have something finished here? And I have to say there is. I shared it this morning here, and it's trying to figure out if there is something corrective from this high that could have the potential of being finished in this zone. And we always want to try and figure out the waves, and obviously to have a corrective structure here, if it's not an ABC, you start thinking WXYs, right? You start thinking WXY double zigzag or WXY sideways WXY, which is not the case because this is pretty steep to the downside. So you need to start in a WXY double zigzag. In this case, you can't have an impulse down here and say that this is W, right? Because a wave W in a zigzag, in a double zigzag needs to be a zigzag, right? Double zigzag means that W is a zigzag and Y is a zigzag, right? X can be whatever it wants as a corrective structure. So yeah, I am pretty much looking for the wave W to be a zigzag, and you can't count. Sorry, I just want to change this colors, guys. Oh man, let's just put it like that. So is there a chance here? Well, wave W cannot be a 5-wave structure, so that that goes down the toilet. So wave W needs to be a zigzag, right, in a double zigzag. So wave W needs to come here. Because this is such a sideways, rangy, confusing zone, can there be a chance here for this to be a sideways WXY for a wave X, right? You're like, what scenario can be here as a sideways WXY? And I mean, this would be the one, right? And wave X's, as explained, they just like to be complex most of the times. They just like to be something that is really disturbing and just requires a lot of brain power to figure out. So if this is going to be a sideways WXY, well, we do have a zigzag move up here for wave W. We have a pretty steep move down here. That, can you fit a 3-wave structure here on the lower time frame? You just have to say, yeah, it possibly can, because there's a bit of overlap there. It does look a bit more as an impulse, I have to say. It does look better as an impulse, but obviously because we want to figure out a bullish option, you would want to give it a chance for it to be maybe a double zigzag down, because wave X can be any kind of corrective structure. So a double zigzag here on the lower time frame is countable, let's say. And then on a sideways WXY, your Y wave can finish in either a flat or a triangle, right, most of the times. And a triangle does fit in here nicely for this scenario. So when I need to figure out if there is a bullish scenario where, instead of saying that we have an ABC, we crash down, right, in the next 1 to 2 days to lower prices. Well, not crash, but continue the downtrend. Is there a chance for a WXY double zigzag? And as because this is sideways and choppy, you can kind of map a situation here where you have a WXY finishing Y in a triangle, finishing the larger X, zigzag down W, bunch of noise, and now obviously the zigzag down for Y wave. So double zigzag, ABC. Let me just change this right away. ABC, yes, we do have a 3-wave move down. We do have a sideways range, sideways WXY potential. And from this peak, as I said before, I know that this is very likely the high of a correction, being it a larger correction, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, E for wave B, the previous scenario explained, or maybe a sideways WXY. I just know that this being the high and this being a new fresh wave down is what looks interesting. I know that this is very, very likely the high of this rangy structure, be it a larger triangle or be it a sideways WXY. fresh new wave down. And because I have the bearish option, which is 1 2 3, right, 4 5, or the 1 2 1 2, 3, longing because of the bearish option here is not extremely attractive for me, even though I understood that getting a local bounce is possible, as explained at the beginning of the stream. If I want to long something in this case, I need to see a pretty confirming 5-wave move up that looks extremely solid on the 15-minute. That would be, maybe wave 1 is developed here. You form a higher low, bang, right? Bang, right? And then throughout Saturday, Sunday, you get a very overlapping, high probability corrective structure to then say, right, that's where I want to consider a long trade, because I know that we could move up in either a C wave or either a third wave, right? You get a 4 and a 5. Maybe 3 is huge. Maybe you form another 1 2 and then 3. It doesn't really matter, but the positioning will have to be here, between Sunday and Monday, if we do end up impulsing up here between today and tomorrow. And because we have that bearish option, which for me is my favorite one at the moment, the one that I have explained throughout the stream, it just doesn't make it very attractive. And I'm not interested in a $500 move, guys. Just not interested with my style of trading, right? I want bigger moves. I want moves of $2,000, $3,000, maybe $4,000, which we haven't been getting very much, right? So I get the urge of scalping. On Tuesday, for me, it was fine. On Tuesday, it was a day trade long. I did explain this could take 24 hours. It's mainly a day trade, right? I'm looking for a move of $1,000 to get to this territory, right? Which we did. We missed the high, but we did get to that zone. So it was a day trade. It wasn't a massive move, but I think it was worth it. There was a good chance for this move, as explained on Tuesday's setup plan on the stream. But for a long here, I just understand that I don't have an extreme high probability to get into this trade. So I need that impulse. I need a first leg up between today and tomorrow that is going to prove itself impulsive. But that's not the only thing that I need. I need a proven corrective overlapping structure here on the retracement. And I will be following up this, of course, on Sunday, obviously Monday, to say, guys, you know what? This might have been that WXY double zigzag, but it's the only way to be sure, or to have not sure, of course. You can never be 100% sure in trading. I'm sure about my risk management. I'm 100% sure of my risk management skills. That is. That's the only thing that you can be sure about in trading, right? Is your risk management skills. And that's what is very, very important in trading, right? It's the only thing that you can be 100% sure is your risk management. Be happy with a stop loss, right? But this is a kind of movement that would increase the probabilities, right, for me to take that long Sunday, Monday, give or take. To start believing that maybe something finished here and we are starting a new uptrend, right, throughout next week. So yeah, it's this kind of bottom catching here right now. It's just because of the bearish case. The main scenario that I explained now throughout the stream is just very, very alive at the moment. I'm not too interested in longs, really. It's been the last few days. Yes, on Tuesday it was good for a long, detecting the wave 5 just for a local bounce. Very difficult short here with the news, CPI. I didn't take that short, but I'm happy with the short from Monday, right? So I'm positioned anyway, regardless if I didn't take this short. This was a difficult short. It's a short that I would have never taken in a million years. You got CPI data coming out. You're not claiming the highs. This would have been an SFP potential, but it's a short that I would. You never see me in a short here, with, you know, not much confluence, CPI data is coming out. You would never see me in the kind of short in the zone. Never, ever. Was it a profitable short? Obviously it was, because we did move down with CPI data, but it's a trade that I wouldn't have taken. And the reasons are simple, right? You've got CPI data. What if after the data we pop up, right? It's just, for me, it's a little bit of a gamble just before the news. And I'm not here to gamble. I'm here to get into good quality trade setups, because that's how we make money, right? Having good quality trades, not gambling. If you want to gamble, if I want to gamble, I go to the casino with $1,000. Just throw it. You say red or black, but not with trading. So yeah, we'll have to see a proven push up, right? Whoever catched along here at the beginning of the stream, then it's, great. There is a chance of having something bullish. We were at a little bit of support. I wouldn't class this as a massive support. Of course, we did have the 2-hour order block. We did have the point of control of the range between June and July. I mean, there is support here for this potential bounce on the lower time frame. You understand that having something finished very, very locally or coming to an end is very, very possible, because of this latest lower high, where you can see from the peak high, right? And this is the main explanation to get into a trade setup, right? Where you have, just because I didn't take the long, as explained, you can take it. I mean, this is a zone where the price can bounce. When you see this price action from that high, you can clearly see that you have a move down and a bounce, a move down and a bounce, and then you get the separation. You get a little bit of that steep move to the downside after the overlapping move. What happens after the steep, move down, which does have a high probability of being a wave 3? You start forming a little bit of a range and a leg down. So you got a little bit of a classic impulse here on the 5-minute, very, very locally, right? Very, very locally kind of impulsive structure coming into support. I mean, this is why the reason of, this is a very, very possible bouncing area. It's not the kind of trade that I'm looking at the moment, though. So, yeah, we do have that point of control from June and part of July, right? That obviously is giving that supportive bounce at the moment, right? June, part of July, this rangy structure. It's the second highest volume node, right? This is why it's range point of control 2. Right, it's the second highest volume node from the range between June, July, and part of August. Right, you got obviously the biggest one here, and then the second biggest here, which is obviously, providing that bit of support at the moment as we speak. Right, it is some support. Got a 2-hour order block as well, which is providing a bit of that support here locally. That is basically how I am approaching things, where I'm looking for the next trade setup. Not the first scenario coming down to the 61k, low 61k zone, value area low. Let's see if we can form that ABC, where this could be a double 1-2, and we start breaking down by today, Friday. That would be awesome to see. If I get that leg down, I know that the 4-5s could develop between Saturday and Sunday. And oh boy, this is going to be a very, very good swing long potential that could last for weeks. And I know, a lot of people would, do take trades as an intraday, You know, long, quick profits, right? Quick little move. You know, I'm looking for the big, serious moves, right? The big, you know, swings of 3, 4, you know, if I can, $10,000, but we're not getting that volatility at the moment, obviously. Throughout the summer, August, right? We're just getting little moves of $1,000 to $2,000, which is sometimes, you know, we need to accept that. It's just, it is how it is. I expect September, October to be very volatile and get some big moves. We are mainly interested in these kind of big moves, such as this swing long, right, from July. And we could get that swing long, obviously, in a few days if we move down as explained at the beginning of the stream. Okay, just requires a bit of patience, and that's what it's all about. See if we do get that impulsive move down from this pivot. 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5, right? And then, you know, this is going to be extremely interesting for the reversal bounce. If the price, you know, there is that chance of a low being in here in a WXY. I need to see that strength throughout today and the weekend. Boom, 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 right? Bit of an impulsive move. And most importantly, a corrective structure. Just because we have an impulse move, it doesn't mean I'm going to long the 50% Fibonacci straight away. I need to see a high probability corrective structure, which will be detectable, right? We can detect if it's high probability corrective or an impulse formation. If it's a high probability correction, then, you know, it's all about positioning later on, right? How can I position? What am I projecting? Obviously, the highs would be a TP1, but we could pop out higher. It's all about the trade management later on. Okay, so let's just clear the chart a little bit with all of this scenario. So there is that chance of a low being in based on this complex sideways, double zigzag. You got a zigzag here, complex wave X, sideways WXY, and another zigzag down. There's a little chance, let's say. I need the market to prove itself with that impulse, boom, 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 and a nice choppy correction throughout the weekend, right? Which will be very, very interesting to attempt along to take out the highs. So we'll monitor that price action, of course, in the trading community. I will likely provide some updates on Sunday to get the preparation ready for the week. And if you are interested in that, you know where to find us, guys. If you're not in already, that's how you can get access to the trading community. Send me the word access, I'll send you the info, but literally by signing throughout one of the affiliate links and trading there as you usually do, you do get that access to the trading community. Okay, you've got many exchanges to choose from. That's the only thing that we ask for. Okay, trade throughout one of the affiliate links, trade as you do, and you get access to the trading community. You get access to mindpillar.com, order flow, CVD divergence, you know, and all of these different tools that we use for our trading here. Okay, we are developing more stuff as we go. Right, boom. I'll go through the comment section. I want to go through another scenario here. Yeah, I want to go. Yeah, there's obviously because of the overlap and this structure here. Yeah, there's another scenario which it doesn't feel extremely great as price action is developing, but yeah, I mean, there's still, I don't really like it very much, but it has to be talked about. There's still a possibility. So having this as an impulse down, 3-wave up as an A wave, and now having this as a B wave down, which, you know, for an ABC flat, A wave and this B wave, and then a C wave for either a running flat or a regular flat, which takes out the highs of A wave. I don't like very much how we got down here from this pivot to this pivot. I mean, you could figure out some kind of a three up. Yeah, it's not looking great for this. For this, preferably, your B wave would have been fitted here. You want that. You want A wave, 3-wave structure, which is what you want to see in a flat. A 3-wave down in the B wave, but because of this noise that you got another lower high and another low. Can we fit in a 3-wave move? Because a B wave of a flat needs to be a 3-wave structure, and from this pivot, it's just a bit noisy. So you got the leg down. Yeah, it would have to. You need a 3-wave move down. I mean, the only way you'd have to fit some kind of a zigzag down here, and then a sideways WXY, and then another zigzag for a double zigzag here. So it's, but this move down does look. Yeah, I mean, you could have that as an A wave. B wave is the problem. So WXY here would be ideal. I'm not gonna map this as a zigzag, as a zigzag move. Looks more of a So yeah, the only possibility with all of this noise would be have this as some kind of a zigzag and have this move as WXY, sideways WXY, and then another zigzag down here. I mean, this is the only way I could map this situation for this to possibly be that WXY here locally for a 3-wave move down, which would be looking for a running flat. So a running flat or a regular flat. Regular flat would be pretty ferocious. You would obviously want that pump in the next coming days as an impulse. Very strong one, double 1-2 potentially, bang, right? And just it's coming into the weekend, so will we get a rally of $2,000 in through the weekend? I don't think it will. But there is a chance. You know, might be a running flat as well. So it all depends on, you know, can we detect that impulsive move, which will be a shorting opportunity, because I know there is a bullish case here. But it's all about positioning. It really is just about positioning, you know. Can we get an impulsive move up here throughout today and tomorrow? And, you know, we've got a range point of control. We do get that resistance and we get the pullback. Will this pullback be a corrective move? Lots of overlap, a WXY double zigzag kind of formation to then push up? Or will this be an ABC running flat and we move down in an impulse? Because this can be a wave 2 or a wave B, right? I mean, the end idea here is to claim that low again if it is going to be a flat. So this is something that needs to happen between today and tomorrow. So will we get more price action to the upside with this local bounce to have a proven impulse? We're going to have to see, but we do have 63.5k, which is resistance area. It's a point of control of this range of the last few days. That could be a struggle, so we're going to have to see how we get up there. But this, I would rather, you know, I might consider a short attempt if we get in an impulse to that point of control throughout today and tomorrow from the lows, right? If we do have that impulsive looking structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I know that a running flat is a possibility. And if all of this is a running flat, then that can be wave 2. Wave 1, running flat, wave 2, and then absolutely nuke. And we just slice through the valley area. I mean, positioning in a short does make a lot of sense, but we need to understand our levels, understand our possibilities. If we do get up there throughout, the weekend, today, tomorrow, right, in an impulsive looking structure into that resistance range point of control, I'm already positioned short, but I wouldn't mind getting into another short. I know that this could be a wave 2 or a wave B. It doesn't really matter, but the target obviously would be below this low. So it can be interesting. Can be an interesting scenario. Let's take a look at the anchored VWAP from the highs here. Yeah, anchored VWAP is, it's coming down at that point of control of the range. So yeah, getting an impulsive move here for a running flat and detecting that 4-5 looking structure could be a good short position. You got the anchored VWAP from the latest pivot high of Monday of this week, which is coming in at that point of control. We got a Elliott wave scenario, which would be a running flat. So it's all about detecting the 4-5 after a wave 3. And obviously this would be coming into Monday, and this would be the short idea. If I get that information, then I will maybe take the short, right? If I will take the short if the information is there, the information that I need here throughout today and tomorrow, which will be informed in the trading community, of course, if I am looking at this price action throughout the weekend. So yeah, that's one possibility as well. Shorting a wave 5 of an impulse is always a great idea. It's like longing the wave 5 of an impulse down is at good support is always a good idea. So shorting a 5 wave move up, detecting that 4-5 into a level of resistance locally here, which would be that anchored VWAP from the pivot high and the point of control, is naturally going to be a good idea to consider that short anchored VWAP, right? Point of control. We're going to have to see, because that obviously could bring that leg down throughout next week. Let's see. If it is corrective, then obviously you need to manage the trade accordingly, right? Oh, this is looking very choppy. I'm going to close part of that short and I'm going to consider a long if the move down is going to be corrective after this impulse. So yeah, getting that little bounce of $600-700 at the moment from the lows. Yeah, well, just about 600, as explained at the beginning of the stream. The bouncing potential here is definitely there. It is definitely there. 2-hour order block, range point of control 2 of June, July, and in August. Holding here for that little bounce, bit of an aggressive scalp. It's good kind of entry. Bit aggressive. I didn't take it as explained. I'm not too fussy, but nice to recognize and nice to see that bounce has happened. And as explained, just because I don't take a trade doesn't mean that you don't need to take it, right? At the end of the day, you manage risk, you take your decisions. We understand that it's support and it can get a bounce. So maybe you're feeling happy, you're feeling bullish, and as long as you got good risk management, you can always take that long attempt, of course. Right, let's do a bit of comment section right away. And let me just quickly stretch my legs here. Right. Let's do a bit of a Q&A session. And Matthew CBM, how are you doing, my man? Hope you're doing great. We got the legend here himself. CBM, guys, go and check him out if you don't know who he is. I know a lot of you do know who he is already. I'm patient bearish bull this weekend. Absolutely awesome. Beth Maria. Enrique Monke, I longed 62.7 because of a spike plus spot buying plus trendline support. Absolutely awesome. I mean, as long as you manage risk, of course. You know, when we consider the lower time frame here, you can see that very, very impulsive looking move down, right? And the best zone to consider along is that wave 5 territory, right? And that wave 5 was a coincidence, right, that we were hitting the range point of control 2, right, from June, July, and August, the second highest volume node from this entire range since June. So yeah, you know, good support right there in the end. Much love, legends. Let me do a like button recount. I hope that we're above 150 likes. That would be awesome. Good support. If we're not 140 likes, guys, no way. No way. We can do better than that. I heard that knee crack. Yeah, I'm getting old. I just turned 36 last week, so yeah. Knees are crack-a-lacking. Much love, Path Maria Vallejos. Let's go through that comment that you left right there. Where are you? Andy, thank you for teaching me patience. It's the most important asset. Estoy preparada para el próximo swing long. Mucho amor. Awesome to see, Beth Maria. Much love to you. Have a great weekend, legends. Neo, you too. Andy, the triangle on X is still valid unless the low of 62.1 is taken. Have you considered that to go up? Andy, the triangle on X is still valid. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure if you are referring to this triangle. The WXY, A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, this kind of triangle is definitely valid over here for wave X. If you are referring to a WXY here. Double zigzag, right, where you have zigzag, you got a sideways WXY, WX, A, B, C, D, E, Y for that wave X, and then the zigzag down here. Very, very, very possible, of course. Muy posible. I'm not sure if you're referring to this triangle being wave X. And I mean, unless we hit this low, would it be an invalidation? It wouldn't be an invalidation. You can still form a WXY here to the downside and claim that low, because maybe this turns out to be a flat, right? So I wouldn't say that it's an invalidation. You could still bounce naturally if you even take out that low in a WXY, because, you know, potentially there is a chance of this being a WXY double zigzag as well, and that could form a larger ABC. You get the impulse up later on, right? Even if you take out that low. We're bouncing in the end. We are bouncing in the end at the 0.88 Fibonacci at the second range point of control, the second point of control of the range, right? And could this be a cheeky higher low and we do get a bigger rally in the coming days? Very much possible. We've seen that happen to Bitcoin lately in the last year. It does happen a lot. So No, I'm referring to the triangle from the W highs at 66.8k. The W, no, I'm referring to triangle from the W. The triangle of W. Oh, a very large triangle. As in, oh yeah, okay. I think I got you here. I'm not sure if you're referring to a triangle here. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a possibility. It's usually interesting to consider the triangles when you are forming your wave D into wave E. So, I mean, yeah, this is very much a possibility, without a doubt. There's a possibility of this for sure. I'm I don't like this too much for a WXY. I think you're probably referring to this triangle as the bullish option. So yeah, if you do get a move up here throughout the next coming days and then the movement down, and we have this formation, I mean, it could be looking very good, because this is looking corrective, this is looking corrective from this high, and you know, if we are squeezing in a triangle here still, right, lower highs and higher lows in the next couple of days, then you know, well, it's something that we will definitely consider for the long, for sure. Yeah, if we're just going to continue this range throughout the next coming days, it's something that could be interesting for sure. For the local bullish case, zigzag up, triangle in X, and then a zigzag up here to claim plus 67k. Something that could be interesting if we get one more lower high, you know, bouncing here to the 64k region. Something that we'll be eyeing as a higher time frame scenario that could develop. If that is the one. Yes, sir. Much love. CBM the master. How are you doing, my man? Hope you're doing great. Interesting triangle. Yeah, it is. It is. It could develop one. But for the moment, we have just 3 legs. So if we do form a lower high and move down, and this move down proves itself to be corrective, it could be a very, very interesting long. This obviously would be into next week. Still need a bit of information here. Still needs at least a week's of price action to consider this, but it could be a swing long. You know, at this point, as explained, this is a very good swing long in zone at 61k, right? Based on value area low, based on, you know, point of control, the golden pocket, based on a lot, you know, a lot of factors here, the liquidity sweep of these higher lows. I'm not sure if I'm going to get that swing long, and I might have to jump into a long in the next coming days if we get a nice impulse and a correction locally here, or even, you know, if we do form a triangle, because I would be very much aware that, you know, what's happened from this high to wherever we are in the next week or so, that all of this is likely corrective. And if you have a corrective looking structure from this high, you are looking to take out that high with high probability. So maybe we get into a nice swing long in the coming days, or with the triangle in the next week or so. We're gonna have to see, but you need almost a completed triangle, right, to say, right, this is looking good. And this could be a nice swing long. It would still be a pump of, you know, give or take $5,000, maybe $6,000. And that's a very, very interesting trade setup. We'll talk about it as the price develops, of course. Much love. Good spot, by the way. On the daily RSI, we have bullish divergence. Interesting. Let's take a look at that daily RSI. Let's get the RSI out. Why not? something that I never use, but interesting. Oh, we got a bit of bullish divergence. We got some lower lows on the RSI and some higher lows, right? Lower lows on the RSI right over there, ever so slightly, and some higher lows. A bit of bullish bullish RSI divergence. Interesting. Right, legends. Looks like I got kicked out of the community. Send me a DM if you did. We'll let me know what happened. You would only get kicked out if you are rude, or if you're nasty, or if you're bad, or if you... Okay, you let me know if it was by accident, and shoot me a DM on the Telegram. We got Telegrams open here, guys, down below, first link. If you want access, or if you have problems, we're always here to solve and to go through any situation such as this. Okay. Evening, Andy. Where would you look for a short to the swing long target area if you weren't currently in a short? Have a great weekend. Wayne, my man, much love to you. Well, the best shorting entry zone was throughout the weekend at the 65k region, right, as explained on Saturday. Video update, watch before Monday, guys, because if you don't watch before Monday, you'll end up asking these questions, right? Where can I short next if I didn't enter the short? So it's at the moment, yeah, we have a bit of a situation, getting a nice little bounce here of $600-700, as explained at the beginning of the stream. You know, there is a bouncing potential here. We have to, this is very, very aggressive to consider still that it can be a correction for a short for the 112. I think we need to see, you know, a pullback and then another leg up, right? We need to see a bit of a slowdown here, some kind of a corrective overlapping structure. But at this point, because, you know, there is a low formation locally here, and you know, as explained, we got the ABC running flat potential, right, which can go higher. We have the WXY double zigzag possibility. You know, you don't want to be shorting really, unless you are shorting the highs at a major resistance before an ABC or a WXY is formed. When you have or even shorting the B wave or the X wave, right? B wave is interesting to short. A triangle, right? Yesterday we mentioned the short entry on the E wave of this possible triangle. We didn't know that this was going to form, but if we have a 5-wave move down possibility and we have an A, B, C, D, E, you want to take advantage of this leg down or even lower. We don't know. This might be a 112, but your entry, right, has to be here. Invalidation. This was explained on the screenshots yesterday, right, which we do provide a few scenarios, but like I said, this is exactly how the price moved. This pump did get a little bit more, almost hitting that high, but we did not hit it. So if you would have entered into a short there, your stop loss was not hit, and we did come down here. And it's a good trading position at the 63.6k area, right? 63.7, depending on where you entered, right? This is just an idea, right? It's a trading idea setup. We understand that you're entering a C wave move down, potential, maybe a Y wave move down, right? Where this is wave X, right? Zigzag down, sideways WXY, triangle, zigzag down here for wave Y. So it's going to be a little bit complex to enter a short at this moment, till we get, you know, a bit of more information of this move up. You need to prove yourself that this is like a correction overlap, right? Or you need to finish an impulsive move up. maybe a diagonal. Depends on the, we only got one leg up, right? And when we consider Elliott wave theory and confluence, we need at least 3 waves or 5 waves, despite being a diagonal, despite being a zigzag, despite being a double zigzag. We need a 3-wave move or a 5-wave move to determine a good short entry, in this case on the move up. Not when you're having one leg, right? This is only 1 wave bounce. So we need to chill, we need to wait, we need to see how this bounce develops. Is it going to be a 3-wave move, overlap, impulse down, correction? Shorts could be looking interesting here. Or form a 5-wave move up, maybe in a diagonal. Maybe it forms a contracting ending diagonal, and maybe this turns out to be the running flat, right? ABC, C wave is a diagonal coming into resistance, right? Point of control, anchored VWAP from the high. If we were to form this kind of formation, and the anchored VWAP naturally is going to be coming down here ever so slightly, point of control, and we do have a 5-wave diagonal potential and ABC running flat. This would be an interesting short if we do have a 5-wave move to the upside from this low as a contracting diagonal or an impulse. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, this leg 1 is pretty ferocious. So to have a wave 3 impulse, you probably could be. It's either going to, either you could form a diagonal in a 5-wave up here for this running flat, or either an impulse where your wave 3 kind of shoots here above the level. It does get resistance at the anchored VWAP and the point of control, but if it is a steep leg to the upside, I would be aware of 4 and 5, and then this double top would be very, very interesting for that ABC running flat. So yeah, no doubt that if we do continue up, we correct, we move up, this zone throughout the weekend could be extremely interesting. And I would be happy to take this short if we move up here into the resistance in this kind of impulsive look, to take that short for that, running flat potential right there. It would be a short that I would be happy to share in the community if we do get this kind of price action throughout the weekend. Would be targeting the lows. Impulse down 1 2 3 4 5, running flat, and this does have a chance to be a wave 2, which means we go south in the next week or 2. So we'll monitor the price action as we go. Right now it's too soon. Shorts look interesting here. Shorts interesting look in the second wave, regardless if it's a 2 or a B or an X. It doesn't matter. You're looking for the 3rd wave down. But when you have already a 3-wave potential, be it a WXY, shorting the lower highs here can be with the first leg up, we need that information. An impulse can form that flat scenario. We'll monitor the price action to give the new setup, right? Just as the triangle, right? We give the setup, we give the scenarios. Did you take action or not? Well, that's all up to you, of course. We just provide the guidance, the trades that I would take or that Devil would trade, and then obviously you guys take the action. I did see a few people take this short position, which is great. You know your risk management, your entry. We know what we're looking for, and this did turn out to play out as a potential, right, for that entry of the short. Legends, you know where to find us. Trading community, that's where we do the updates. We give the possible setup scenarios. Send me the word access if you are interested to get order flow, CVD diversions, all of these different indicators, access to the trading community. You just need to sign up throughout one of the affiliate links, trade as you do there, and that's how you do get the access. That's the only thing that we ask for you to get access to the tools, mindpillar.com, and the trading community. Much love. Thank you so much for joining. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you in the next one.